Peace all. It's me, Arlene J. Ramsey, CEO and founder of Everyone Let's Talk. Also, your favorite self-wealth mentor. So this segment, more on Kevin Hart. And now the black community has a problem with Kevin Hart and some of his tweets. They thought it was racist. There was some things that he said about black women. Now, these tweets were stemming back from 2010 on, him saying something about a black woman can take a punch in the face better than a light woman, how light-skinned women have better credit than dark-skinned women, so we're not going to get too far into those tweets. Let me just say this. The black community, what makes you think that when a black person becomes a celebrity, that they're automatically supposed to become politically correct? What makes you think that they should just be perfect the moment they become a celebrity? After all of this bad training and upbringing, let's look at our upbringing. See, you guys love to talk about the white community, and our white Caucasian brothers and sisters are racist, and some of you guys are, so we're not letting you off the hook, and a lot of you are fucking delusional, so we're not going to let you off of the hook either. We all need to work on ourselves. Let's put it that way. All right. However, the black community, you guys think that you're not racist. You guys think that, you're the only victim and you don't victimize other people and you don't teach cruelty. You don't teach superiority, inferiority. You don't abuse your children. There was something about him talking about hitting his son with a belt. There was a tweet or something like that. And you're talking about that. But the black community, you've been beating your children. And that stems from slavery because you used to get whipped. And a lot of you, the mothers, preferred to whip your kids over the slave master because you knew that you would save your kid's ass. So you would put on a show and beat your kid. And once the slave master was fine with the way you were whooping your kid's ass, the slave master left your child alone. So that was your way of protecting your child. However, no one taught the black community how to, or that was even wrong, and how to start receding from that type of behavior and start doing more communicating and learning how to understand our children and communicate with our children and allow them to grow on an intellectual basis opposed to just beating them so that they won't do something because you told them not to do something. So the black community, there's a lot of things that you have to face about yourself as well. Don't use Kevin Hart to try to cancel Kevin Hart because you think that Kevin Hart has said some things that make you look bad. See, it's all well and good when your fucking dirt is behind closed doors and nobody knows what's going on. But the moment that star becomes bright to the world and they start teaching and preaching the same shit that you did behind closed doors, now it's like, oh, how dare he says this? How dare you talk about black women? How you dare you this? How dare, well, did he grow up in a household where black women were honored? And as a matter of fact, did black women respect Kevin Hart? How tall is, I wrote his Kevin Hart is 5'4" tall. He's a little shrimp. How many of you respect short men? How many of you, when he tried to shoot his shot, that you gave him an opportunity, or did you just slight him solely because of his height, because you didn't want to deal with somebody that was short? And it's okay, because you can like who you like. We're not saying that. However, it's the way we do it in the black community, right? We don't know how to be nice to one another. We don't know how to say, well, I think you're cool and everything, but, at this moment, like, you're not really what I'll be looking for a relationship, or not really my type. Or maybe I just don't know what I want, but right now I don't want to be forced into a relationship. I just need time to figure out exactly what I'm looking for in myself in a relationship. You guys don't know how to do that, right? So when Kevin Hart was trying to kick it, he was trying to shoot his shot. What did you do? Like, get your short black ass out of here. Like, that's the kind of thing we do to each other, right? We put each other down, we dehumanize each other, we disrespect each other. And you want Kevin Hart to all of a sudden, the moment he becomes bright, to change all of that and to just represent himself in a different light that makes you look good. It's all about your fucking ego and how the black community look to everybody else in the world. But why aren't you paying attention to how you look to even yourselves and your community when you're doing the things that you're doing behind closed doors and teaching your children some of the things that you're teaching? Why aren't you doing that? Like, my thing is that we put too much pressure on black people when they become celebrities and call them coons and sellouts. My question is, who in your community right now who is trying to do something and help bring the community forward right now that you're supporting? Who are you supporting in your community? You know, so because Kevin Hart was been Kevin Hart. So at one point, he was just Kevin Hart in the community trying to tell jokes. And you guys probably didn't think he was funny. Or maybe you thought he was funny, but you didn't support him. You know, you didn't support his ideas. You was like, he ain't going nowhere. Where the fuck he going? Who he think he is to think that he going to try to go somewhere and be somebody's celebrity? He going to sit his black ass, no, wait a minute. He's going to sit his short black ass right here in the black community and struggle right along with us. Isn't that pretty much the mentality that we have towards ourselves and each other within the black community? How often do we just support each other with good intentions just to say, listen, we need this joker right here to make it out the hood. We need him out. We need one. Anyone that's showing us something, let's rally behind this one and help them out in the best way that we can and get them going. See, the black community too often say that you raised up that person, right? You built them up so that they can go out there, and then when they don't represent the black community the way you think they should, then you think that you have the authority to tear them down. I don't know too many people who have been reared and supported by their black community who were struggling while they were in the black community, showing signs of being that great and that they can be greater. Who was affirmed and supported in the black community? Can somebody please tell me who? Do you realize that most people, I can't speak for white people, but we're sticking with the black community because it's time for you guys to face your bullshit. Like, you all need to just knock it off, okay? Do you realize that a lot of black celebrities are not even respected in the city and state where they come from? It's always people that's bigging them up in other cities and states. They become celebrities by people from other areas who's like, damn, this person is dope. And they rallying behind this person and support this person. And next thing you know, this person is a star. But if that person was to only stay in their community and do things in their community, where they're going, you guys try to muffle them. Because you know why? Envy and fear starts to set in. What happens is when a person is comfortable being themselves, their authentic self, and they show up as that, the greatness in them shows up. And what happens is that person becomes the mirror, and you looking at them is a reminder of what you're not doing for your star to shine bright, for your light to shine bright. And it may not be you, it may be your circumstances, your household, your direct community, right? Because he's from Philadelphia, so he could have been, grew up on some block, like 10 blocks away, and you could have grew up away from him. So your community and his community is not the same. Although you're in the same city, you're still living in different communities within that same city. And if you pay attention, in a city, the block radiuses, like 4 block radiuses and all of that, they still have different cultures. The city itself have a culture, and then there are different cultures within the city depending on the people who are living within proximity of each other. So it's all entwined. It's not all the same. But let me go back to this so that you guys can stay focused on, because I find it very disturbing on how we're so quick, the black community are quick to call black people who are in Hollywood and who are trying to progress and continually grow and learn how to be better people. You call them coons and sellout. So my question to you is what exactly is a coon and a sellout? What is a coon and a sellout? I can't say this enough, that the black community respect black people who continue to keep the ignorant attitude of black power for everything. Like, you guys like Umar Johnson for everything. And in the same token, you turn around and want to slash Umar Johnson down. Like we're perfect. Like black people cannot afford to make a mistake. In the moment they make a mistake, or the moment it may not be a mistake, maybe they just do something or say something that you disagree with, you think that all of their hard work that they put in should go down the drain. Like, throw the baby out with the fucking bathwater. It's like one extreme to the other. And I don't understand. I think you guys don't understand how damaging that is to the black community, and how the vice grip that you have and your mentality on the black community is the reason why the black community is not raising up and is not as progressive as we should. It has nothing to do with the white man and nothing to do with Willie Lynch, and has everything to do with you and your mentality. It has everything to do with the hate that's in your mind. Now, I understand it that we get frustrated by life, and there's sometimes we got to be on the phone like, this motherfucker, this, that. We have those moments. Okay, because in life, everything is not rainbows, butterflies, and fucking unicorns all the goddamn time. There's going to be sometimes somebody piss you off or life piss you off, and you got to say a motherfucker or two, or maybe 100 of those motherfuckers. Sometimes you got to get it out. However, it's better that you get it out and then you go back to better intentions. You go back to wanting to be better and growth. There's no cap to growing. You know what they say, sky is the limit. There is no cap to growth. And what happens is for those of us who do grow and progress, every time we reach another level, we're always learning new things. And anytime you're learning and progressing to level and level and level, you're also learning that it's not all about what I grew up thinking in life. You know why? Because America is still the melting pot. And anytime you're a celebrity or you're a person who does things where you have to interact with the public and other human beings, you cannot have, let me say this, let me not say you cannot have. It is not wise to have a mentality of black and I'm proud, black first and only black. It is not wise to do that. You know why? Because there are people from other backgrounds and other cultures who have their history too. You know, the black Americans are not the only one who has a gruesome history. What about the Asians? What about the Indians? No, we can go on. What about the fucking Irishes? The Irish used to be called white niggers, remember? The Irish didn't get respect in this fucking country. Remember? Look at the Kennedys. Look what they did to the Kennedys. What is it, a conspiracy? Or is it just the fact that they just refuse to watch the Irish progress? You see what I'm saying? So if I can sit here and get into other people's backgrounds and what America think about people of other nationalities and races, but right now I'm sticking to the black community and why we think it's okay to cancel Kevin Hart because of those tweets. Meanwhile, he has grown past that. You know, he didn't apologize for that because the black community back then didn't say, oh, you know, you did this, that, and the third. And that's the other thing. You guys didn't bring that up back in 2010. Now you're bringing it up because you know why? You're following the gay community. You guys are followers, but you talk like as if you're leaders. You're terrible and you're watered down. You don't make sense. And you're not as revolutionary as you really think you are. Because if you were really revolutionary, and if you were really smart about it, strategic about it, you would understand that what you're doing is actually damaging to the black community. You would understand that. The other thing is, going back to this whole idea of the black community thinking that once you progress to a certain level that you're a coon, okay? Because you start saying, well, I can't relate to him. And he can't no longer relate to us. It's not that this person can no longer relate to you because he still comes from that place, but it's that they continue, and that's what happens when we grow and when we become better. So now our conversations are different. We're no longer limited in thought. Do understand that our brain is a muscle. So when you have limited information, your brain is like this small. Every time you grow and you learn more, your brain is growing. Your brain is growing. It's expanding. It's expanding. And when it's expanding, it's holding in all of this information. All of this information actually means that, in a nutshell, I respect you. Although you and I are different and we come from different cultures and backgrounds, I still respect your differences because I remember what your differences are and I know how to interact and exchange with you and your differences. I know how not to disrespect your culture. Right? Because if you go in thinking it's all about me and I'm black and I'm proud, and you disrespect the other person and their background, how does that make for a healthy relationship? And when I say relationship, not intimate relationship like husband and wife, but just a friendship or a business partnership. How does it make for a healthy business partnership or any type of relationship when you disrespect the other person based off of your little small perspective or based off of how you judge somebody? The other thing with the black community is you say you don't want to be judged, right? So let me just say this. There are different ways to judge people. There are people who verbally judge a person and say certain things about people. And then there are people who silently judge you, where they hold all their judgments inside, but then they treat you the way they think about you. They treat you that way. And you don't even know why they're treating you that way. But they're judgmental as fuck because they thought that they can treat you a certain way, and they're holding all of this shit in their head, and then they're treating you a certain type of way. But the black community, you guys do that all so well. You do that all so well. So when you look at Kevin Hart, when I look at a human being, I always assess them and try to pull from their authenticity what their childhood may have been like. I always do that because I understand that some of the things that grown-ups say and do, even if it's a little vague, it all stems back to either the hurt or the love that they received growing up. They still have a little cynicism within their heart about some experiences that they've been through. And when they become adults, they still can't understand why was they even treated the way that they were treated. But again, the black community, when that person becomes a celebrity or they become a star, you want them to now show great love and gratitude to you. But ask yourself, when that person was in their community struggling to make it by, did you fucking support them and show them all the love and respect that you want that person to show you to make you feel good? Did you make that person feel good when they were growing up? Even when you become adults, you don't even have it in you to come back to that person and say, wow, you know what? When we were kids, I was fucked up. I did some fucked up shit to you. And I just want to come and let you know that I know what I did and I know I was fucked up and I apologize for that. You know, whether you're holding anything in your heart and your mind against me or whatever the case may be, I don't know. But, you know, I've come to learn when I became an adult and have some sense that looking back at some of the things I did, I was wrong. I was wrong and I had no business acting like that. So I'm just coming to extend my apologies to you. You know, if we did things like that more within the black community, when people like Kevin Hart make it out of the hood and they grow, they would remember that. They would remember what you did and how their childhood was. But then they would also remember at some point you assessed yourself and you realized that you've done some things that hurt that person's feelings, or you've done some things that caused that person to have a hard life. Because what you don't realize, right? When you judge people and mistreat people, you also incite that type of behavior in other individuals, and other individuals are such followers, they easy to follow bad behavior that it incites other people to behave and act this person and treat this person in a certain way. And let me just say this, you have absolutely no control over what someone else is going to do. So you may be just talking shit and bothering a person or bullying a person or attacking a person with your words. The next person might take it to the next level and take it physically, and you may not have said anything to be physically abusive towards someone, but someone else's mentality may be like, well, let's up the ante. What we talking for? Let's abuse this person. Let's kick this person down. Beat this person to the white meat. You know how y'all talk. Beat them to the white meat. You know, kick them down. Rob them for their shoes. And he's short. He ain't getting no respect around here. You're going to fuck with him every day. You guys going to jump over his head, because that's what they used to do to the short kids in school when I was going to school. Jokers used to run and jump over them because they were so damn short. But that's disrespectful to that other person. this short individual because they're still a human being. But you didn't see that, right? And no one told you to stop because everybody thought it was funny. So no one said, man, that didn't make sense. So when people are going through what they're going through, they're also paying attention to everybody else that's laughing and to everybody else that didn't step in and say, man, stop. That doesn't make sense. They pay attention. So they realize that, wow, it's like it's me against the world. Like, y'all tripping, and I really got to handle all this on my own. The black community is too quick to say that there's a disconnect, and it leaves me to question, do you really support or are in favor of success? And if you are, to what level of success are you supportive of? Is it just the level of success to which you can fathom? And anything outside of what you can fathom or what you can perceive, you don't accept it? You start to say that they're a coon and a sellout? Do you guys even think about what it takes to even gain leverage and some type of power in a system that's already lopsided and within a system that you say is not for you? Do you understand the type of finesse you have to have in order to do that? And in order to finesse that, it takes a lot of an individual sitting with self and learning how to be better so that they can get along with people of different walks of life. Because Hollywood is not all black power. They ain't black power like that at all. Right? And anybody that you see that approaches Hollywood with that kind of mentality, where the fuck are they now? Do we see them? And to me, it seems like if you guys are more accepting of that than you are accepting of the black person who learned how to finesse. And to me, that baffles me. Because the black person that you no longer see, straight up, they're saying, I'm riding for black people, black power. But still in all, when that person gets smacked down, they're no longer in a position where they can have access to as much people as they can and access to the money to that magnitude as they can. Therefore, it's hard for them to get the type of power or leverage that they once were shooting to get. Right? So if you're just a mayor of your city, how much money does the mayor make? Like the mayor's salary is what, $250,000 a year, depending on what city the mayor live in. That is not a lot of money. He can live off of that. He can pay his mortgage, but then, or she can pay her mortgage. But then if they have children, they're going to pay to send their children to, let's say, private school, pay for their children to go to college, do things so that they can live comfortably. And then outside of that, how much money is left? So how much can a mayor actually do for their community? How much power does a mayor have? And a mayor is just a mayor of a particular city and a state. How much power does a mayor have? How much power does a governor have to help anybody in a community to which that person first came from? Because now remember, the governor is the governor for the state, not just their fucking community. So they have to be thinking about the entire state, right? So when we look at politics and people in position, we also have to look at what those jobs require of them to be focusing on and how much power they really have to actually carry out the things that they want to carry out for their position. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with their direct community. However, a person who is in Hollywood in some type of way or in some type of business that's outside of the norm, and the norm is just a regular job, a 9-to-5. Any type of business that's outside of a 9-to-5 puts a person in position of leverage after a certain amount of years where they can, in some way, shape, or form, help a friend, help a family member, help people in the community. And I don't think that you guys get it. I think the black community wants instant gratification. I think the black community thinks that the moment a person becomes a movie star or a celebrity, that they automatically got money in position to just turn around and help you. Not understanding that You have to build leverage, and you have to make sure that your foundation is firm. And when your foundation is firm, which means that your immediate family, your children, your wife, and then your mother, your father, people in your fucking family, your bloodline has to be taken care of first, right? And when your bloodline, when you're comfortable that your bloodline is taken care of, then you can start to extend to your family, right? Doesn't that make sense? But too many of you are selfish. You're just looking at they need to extend to you. But if you're going by, he needs to look back at the community and help bring the community. The first community is his fucking household. And that's the people that the family he comes from or she comes from, right? So before you get to see any perks of his fucking position, you have to wait in line to make sure his family is taken care of first. So if the black community was actually in tune or in alignment with the natural order of life, you would see things in a different light, and you would have better respect for your black people who are in the limelight trying to get ahead and make things get things popping. All right. So this thing that you're saying that you don't relate to them anymore, that you don't, it's because you don't want to. And if you can't relate to them, it's because you're stagnating yourself. You have no intentions on growing. Trust me, I know. I'm not a celebrity. However, I can relate to a Jay-Z. Look how far he's gone. You know why? Because I continue to educate myself. When I'm on the fucking computer, I'm surfing and reading information. I'm consistently educating myself. So when these people, as they grow and they're talking certain things they say, I can still relate to it, although I don't have their money and I can't afford to eat at their restaurants or be in their circles right now. Who knows what the future holds? However, I can relate. So when you say you can't relate, that is a reflection on you and your unwillingness to grow and learn to be better than what your hood told you that you should be, because too many of you think that black is hood, and it's not. Rosa Parks never spoke the way some of you guys speak now. Martin Luther King never spoke that way. Fucking Malcolm X never spoke that way. Neither did Marcus Garvey. Neither did Kwame Ture. I mean, if we look at all of our activists, neither did Shirley Chisholm, Ella Baker. If we look at Maya Angelou, all of these people from back in the day, from the civil rights movement, who was black power and fighting for us, listen to how they spoke and how they carried and conducted themselves. They carried and conducted themselves that reflected that they have the ability to exchange with people from all walks of life. So although they were black power, they enunciated all of their words and they were highly intelligent. But you black motherfuckers today, and I don't care if you get upset with what I'm saying, but some of you are very frustrating when I listen to how you think it's okay to tear down other black people because they don't do what you think that they should do. Not even knowing that these people actually got a plan and they're working their plan the best way that they can. But because you're so narcissistic, you're self-absorbed. It's all about me, me, me. See, I don't see any perks from what they're doing. I don't receive any money or any kickbacks from what they're doing, so fuck them. And they need to be kicked right back down to size and go right back to Marcy Projects, because who he thinks he is. So disheartening. So disheartening. But we turn around and we talk about the white people all the time. We can't stop pointing the fingers at the white people. No, and that's what white people are getting tired of. They're getting tired of your bullshit. What Jay-Z said, do you already. Enough with the complaining and boo-hoo already. Eat food already. Ain't nothing given. You got to claim your shoes already. You got to claim that shit already. Now, I can see if you're trying to claim it, and then somebody is ripping the rug from up under you. Somebody is conspiring against you to make sure that you don't get it. I can see you complaining about that. But guess what? They do that in the black community, and you guys don't talk about that, though. You don't talk about that. But there's too much of that goes on in the black community. There's too much of If you got the great ideas and you got the brain, they want to come and pick your brain and build their own program off of your fucking brain, and then don't even invite you to the table to fucking eat. They will sit there and watch your ass starve and drift the fuck aside and shrivel up like a fucking sponge, knowing fully well that they picked your brain and got all the juice the fuck from out of you. But you don't talk about that now, do you? You see them running little programs and they got little things going. You got an idea that they're sucking the life out of you, but you don't talk about that. But you're turning around and you're talking about these celebrities because of a few little mistakes that they made, and you want them to go right back down to the fucking struggle. You know how hard that type of life is? Who the fuck wants to spend the rest of their life struggling in the hood? You should be working on pulling yourself up. What you should be focusing on is holding other black people accountable for not supporting anything that you got going on in the hood. Because we got to support each other and build each other up and help build. And once you standing, someone else is standing. Jay-Z said from his Reasonable Doubt album, I forgot the song, I think it's Feeling It. If every nigga in your clique is rich, your clique is rugged. Nobody will fall because everyone will be each other's crutches. I hope you fools choose to listen. I drop jewels, buzz it. These are the rules I follow in my life. You gotta love it. Jigga jigga, looking gully in the joint. If y'all niggas ain't talking about large money, what's the point? He been dropping jewels, and he been moving with precaution. He been treading lightly. He been had his plan. If you listen to his music, I think from his Magna Carta Holy Grail album, he had two friends that went into jail around the time his Reasonable Doubt album dropped. I think one of the friends was the one that took a charge for him. I don't know about the other one, but he was cool with both of them. They all used to be selling drugs. Make that long story short, I think one of them came out by the time Magna Carta Holy Grail came out, or was due to come out. But anyway, fast forwarding, and then I heard on his 444 album, Tata was out when he was talking about Tata. But in this album, his album Friends, in that track, the Carter's Friends from the Carter's album, I hear that both of his friends that were serving time are out and they live with him and Beyonce in his house. To me, that's helping the community. But he couldn't afford to get caught up in the drama with with Beanie Siegel and with anybody else, because he knew his plan was, see, he made a commitment that, especially to the one that took the charge for him, he made that commitment to that person. Like, listen, nigga, when you get out, I got your back. He couldn't afford to cut up and do the things and do it the way you wanted him to do, because he had some people that he was already loyal to, that he had to keep himself going in a straight line and make sure he progressed, to make sure he hold his end of the bargain for those people who was his boys that come from the same hood he come from. So my thing is helping out the community has so many different looks. It doesn't look like the way you think it should look. It has different looks. And to me, and when I heard that, I was like, well, I already like Jay-Z. I got every album. So he pretty much did what he said he was going to do. But when I heard that, it was just confirmation that, he still helps out the community. Memphis Bleek is not rapping anymore, but Memphis Bleek is well taken care of. Because you know why? That's his boy. They grew up in Marcy projects together. And the way he talks about Memphis, Memphis is taken care of. So don't be so hard on your black people when you see them up there and they're growing and they're interacting and exchanging with other people. Don't be so hard on them. When I look at the other one is Mark Lamont Hill. You guys, that cooning around finally came to a stop. The white man finally showed him who's boss, like who he thinks he is, talking for this, talking for the Palestine talk. But my thing is, when I look at Mark Lamont Hill finesse the system, it's like looking at Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan finesse the basketball court. Mark Lamont Hill was like Michael Jordan to basketball. That's what he is. That's what he was for commentating. That's a great skill set to have because everybody don't have that ability to pivot between different cultures and different types of people and different settings and then set the tone. Not only pivot and be there, fucking set the tone. When Mark Lamont Hill is in a room, and I don't know him much, but I went on YouTube and I spent hours looking at how, just looking at him, just looking at how he interviews, how he sets the tone, how he shows up. Whenever he's on the set, you know he's there, and it's like he sets the tone for the environment. Mark Lamont Hill is there. Plus, he wasn't cocky about it. He was just there. He had a purpose. He had a point, and he's coming to drive his point. He's coming to tell you what I think, and this is what I think that we should do. And that's what I liked about him. And I don't think you guys gave him enough credit because he wasn't up there talking that ebonics and bullshit. Like, where do you think that type of where you going speaking this bullshit? Ebonics is something that we started doing when I was growing up. You know, the people who are older than me weren't talking ebonics like that. I just turned 42 on the 13th of December, which was yesterday. You know, ebonics started with my era. But where are you going with that? Because everybody ain't from the same hood. Like, we don't even understand the blacks that's in New Orleans when they speak ebonics because they're in New Orleans. So their lingo is still different to ours. But you expect the United States of America, who don't live with black people and don't know black people's culture, to understand ebonics when you up here talking this shit all the time and think that that's okay? You cannot represent yourself completely to the world speaking in that type of way and think that you're going to be respected. Even if you say English is the white man's language. Well, listen, you know, we were proper and educated, a lot of us, when we were back in Africa speaking our language too. We have to start paying more attention to how we're presenting ourselves for ourselves and for the world. And not just because we want to be looked at in a certain way, but it's so that we can maintain the level of respect that we're looking to maintain so that we can get that leverage that we so wish to have. And if you doubt me, just pay attention to the majority of you who are saying the opposite to what I'm saying and ask yourself, how's that working out for you? Who do you know that's in Hollywood or some celebrity or anybody that has made it to a certain level doing the things that you think that they should be doing? Who you know? And who do you know that's like that got the power in today's day and age to help you up out of your bullshit? So no, black people, I don't think Kevin Hart needs to be canceled. I think Kevin Hart can use this as an opportunity to learn that everything that he was taught with, even within the black community, that was wrong. This colorism, that light skin is better than dark skin, that was wrong. But only the black community can teach that. Only they can teach that. So before you try to blame him when he's just the end product of what he was taught, it's time to really pay attention to, like, wow, this is what we've been teaching our children. And now when Kevin Hart says it and he tweets about it, it doesn't look good, nor does it sound good. Let me pay attention to how I treat my children. Are you loving up your little light-skinned kid more than you loving up the dark-skinned one? Do you buy your little light-skinned kid better clothes, better outfits than you buy your dark-skinned one? My mom used to do that. When she bought clothes for my sister and I, my sister used to get all the little frilly stuff, the frilly girly stuff. She used to buy my sister all the frilly girly stuff. And I didn't used to get the cute shit like my sister. Maybe because I was so-called black and ugly. She didn't see me in that light so pretty and girly, but she saw that in my sister. You know you guys do that. I'm not the only one. You do that. You do that. So before you look to cancel anybody, maybe you should start canceling yourselves. No? Just something to think about. Until next time, peace.